Well, these Tuesday videos, generally I focus on projects that I do outside the shop. Not all the time, but most of the time. And I do like to spend a lot of time out on our little playground, which I call it, where I can do some kind of agricultural farm ranch type stuff. Well, this weekend is going to be rainy. It set in last night and we're calling for rain all day today, tomorrow, next day. So that's kind of on hold. I have this Jeep that I like to play with, and it's just a toy. But I've been smelling gas when I drive it and when I fill it all the way up. And I've noticed that if I leave it under half, that it's not quite so strong, but I know I need to fix it. So I decided this is a rainy weekend. Inside the shop is a good project. I'm going to fix this Jeep, I hope, this weekend. I've got the tank pulled out. And nice to find out that it's a plastic tank. I've had old CJ2As in the past, 46, 48, I have a 48 now. And these have a metal tank underneath the seat and they are notorious for rusting out, and I've had to fix those. So it's nice to see that this is a plastic tank. So since I was smelling the gas when it was a half or above, made me wonder if it isn't a problem on the top, or maybe I had created a leak in the middle somewhere. So I pulled it out, cleaned it up, and I have a few gallons of gas. I'm about 1/8 of a tank in here, so I can kind of hear it sloshing around in here. So I've rolled it frontwards, backwards, side to side, and I don't see any leaks in the tank itself. But from all the remnants of these stains, I think it's coming around the gasket here. This gasket is pretty poor shape right here. And so as I roll it over toward the top, I found out that right here is where it is leaking. Pretty extreme, really. I used my motorcycle hoist or an ATV hoist to get this tank down out of the Jeep itself. I'm going to roll it to the side here and you'll see just right here, it just comes pouring out. I'll get that over there far enough. Right there. That's where my leak has been. So since I have it out and I need a new gasket, it's kind of a pain to get it out. So I'm going to just replace this whole fuel pump assembly so I know it's new. Well, this is the protective skid plate that goes underneath that tank, and it has a fair bit of rust through it right on the outside corners, and it's on both corners. All this is all rusted through. So I'm going to see if I can't patch that a bit too. I scrounged around in my scrap iron pile in the back and I found this shell of an old water pressure tank. And it's about the same thickness. I don't know exactly what the gauge is, but it feels pretty close. This is just a patch, but I can cut out some strips in here to work to patch that skid plate. These front quarters, I think, is where it needs the most protection. That would take an impact if I was over rocks or something. So I'm going to try to cover up this front, reinforce this rusted out place. 4 1/4 by maybe 9 inches. And this other side as well, it looks like it's 3 1/2 by, maybe 8 inches would fix that. When I took this out, it was just loaded up with rust. The whole bottom was just saturated with rust. It had this rubber mat that was kind of in this position, kind of helped keep that tank from rubbing, but this was just coated with mud and it was wet, and it actually kind of smelled like a septic tank, had that kind of a sour smell to it. So I ran this all through the sandblaster and took off a lot of that rust. I may coat that before I put it back, and it doesn't make any sense to me that there aren't any drain holes anywhere to let the moisture out. You know, that's what these Jeeps are all about, is to go play and have fun. So the moisture is set in here and just caused all this rusting to take place. So I'm going to coat this, I think with elastomeric. I use that on my roof. But I'm going to put some holes in some of these grooves here to let that drain out. Well, I have it kind of spot welded all the way around. This side is real thin because it's closer to being rusted through. It's easy to blow through, but I can kind of spot it to get it tacked in. I think I'll just go and continue to spot in between and pretty much tighten this up. I think this will reinforce this real rusted out corner over here. We're still pretty weak. I may reinforce that just with a little patch right there. Well, I covered that patch, but I've still got a rusted out spot on this kind of a rib here. So I think I'll put another piece in there, kind of shape this round to go across that. That should kind of strengthen this whole corner up. I'd kind of like these to flare out so it's set flat. Probably should have done this before I put my curve to it, huh? I think that'll help that front corner. I'll just have to do the same for the other side. This other side has quite a bit of rot, a little different than the other side. So I am going to patch that as well. While that cures out, I think I'll change this pump out. Gasket's pretty shot. I don't want to drop anything down in there. When I took this apart, it was just loaded with scale and rust to the point to where it had rusted clear through. And it doesn't make sense to me why there's no drain holes in here, so I'm actually going to put some 3/16 holes in here. So when this does get moisture in it, it's going to drain. I'm not sure if this elastomeric roofing coating was the exact thing to do, but I use it on my roofs and I have for 40 years and it really works pretty well. A little spot of paint on those holes so they don't rust. And this little rubber mat goes between the tank and my shield. I did take some paint and paint on top of my patches. Try to keep them from rusting too quick again. Well, these are a bit of a puzzle coming out, and I'm sure it'll be a bit of a puzzle going in. We'll get her. As I started this project, I kind of debated on whether I would even video it, thinking, there's nothing really fancy or technical about changing out a fuel pump out of a fuel tank. It's just kind of a time-consuming project, and each vehicle is different, and I'm not a mechanic by trade. There's lots out there that do it professionally, and there's even YouTube channels, and I went and looked and just saw what the process of this was to pull out this tank and see what was going on. So it's not to be an instructional video how-to, it's just something I needed to do, but it fulfilled a couple of things for me. I don't do a lot of welding with light metal, and this was an opportunity to kind of practice some of that, and I learned from that. I found out that if I push my puddle instead of pulling the puddle when I'm welding, it worked a lot better, and it's good practice for me because I have a 48 Jeep body that I'm going to be doing a lot of this on. So on this guard underneath the tank that's kind of out of sight, no big deal, good place to practice. And you all know probably by now that doing this carriage trade deal, I get to do a lot of different variety of things, from upholstery to painting to striping to wheels to bending, blacksmithing. You all realize that. And I like that variety. There's a saying is the variety is the spice of life. But even as I have thought about that, and even as I say that, I realize that I am a contradiction in a lot of ways to that. I like variety, but when I go to a restaurant, if I find something I like, that's what I order every time. I don't like variety when it comes to my food. As you all know, and some of you have commented, when it comes to what I wear, when I find something that I like, that's good enough for me. Variety is not my spice of life when it comes to that. You see that I wear the same thing all the time. It suits me, and I really don't care what people think. So I am kind of a contradiction in a lot of ways. I like variety. I like this because it stretches me. I get to learn new things. I do this in the shop. But other things, not at all interested in variety. So I guess I'm a study in contradiction in a lot of ways. But anyway, it's good practice for me. And so I just thought I'd say, it's just another thing I do after work. It was rainy this weekend and a good chance to fix something that needed fixed. It really was kind of a dangerous deal, all this gas leaking. So anyway, that's the project this week after work. Appreciate you following along.